Rockipedia with David Miller, your favorite rock music podcast. Right here on the YouTube, and we thank you for joining us. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all of those. And if you'd like to support the show in any way, I have several ways you can do that. And one of those is we have a show Venmo. And that show Venmo, the address will be in the description. That goes to support the show. So if you feel like you like this show enough to pay a little bit for it, you decide how much you think it's worth and throw it at the Venmo, and that would be a great way to support us. You can also support us by going to our sponsors, taking part in events that we support or put on, and also just by watching. You do a lot. We appreciate that. Make sure you share us. That also helps a ton. And then I'll have links to a lot of products and things that I use to make this happen. And if you happen to take part in those and do that, buy anything through those links or something like that, we get a little coin on the back end. So I appreciate anything you can do like that. And I hope you're having a fantastic week so far. So you may ask yourself, what are we going to do today, Dave? And I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today.
I have a plan. You've got a plan. Yes.
We are going to talk about how age is just a number, and rockers that are rocking beyond the age of 50. Yeah, I picked 50 because that's kind of where I'm at. I'm 56, still playing in a band all the time, play a lot, and perform as much as I possibly can. I feel the same as I did as a 30-year-old, 25-year-old musician trying to work. And we have been blessed recently with not just a lot of our older rock bands and performers sticking around. That's been great. But some of the music that they're turning out at this age is beyond fantastic. We've gotten some huge, fantastic releases in the last year from some of the folks that we would consider to be slightly senior. Yeah. So we're going to talk about some of those through this. You'll see some on this panel I've got up here. We're going to go break into these more. One of those up there is Iggy Pop. That's that white cover that's a little hard to read. That's an Iggy Pop album called Loser that he put out recently. So let's get into this. How are we going to start? Let's start with this one. Okay, so we have the Black Crowes. Chris Robinson's 57 years old. Rich Robinson's 54 years old. The rest of the band is a array of ages, and they're all kind of hired guns at this point, beyond the two brothers that are running the Black Crowes. They just released an album on Friday called Happiness Bastards. I think that's a great title. That came out on the 15th. And they've got some really, really cool stuff on this album. The Black Crowes, for me, lost their way at one point. They were doing stuff really, really cool. And then they kind of, they went, the brothers can't get along. In the Black Crowes, the brothers do not like each other very much at all, which is unfortunate. But it's not unusual, especially in bands, it seems like. Musicians or bands that have sibling musicians in it sometimes have problems. Heart recently has had problems. Oasis, notorious for their problems, that they don't get along very well. CCR, the brothers Fogarty did not necessarily gel well in the creative environment. And Chris and Rich Robinson have had amazing fights. The band has broken up multiple times over the years because of it. In fact, there was an 8-year period where the two brothers didn't speak to each other at all. 8 years without speaking to your brother at all. By choice. And Chris Robinson talks about the fact that in an interview I read recently, it might have been in Rolling Stone, he was talking about how during that period of time, not only did they not speak to each other, but they were both aware of things each other was going through. Rich Robinson had a health scare that was pretty traumatic. Chris wasn't around at all, didn't talk to him, didn't contact him, nothing. They both had children during this time. They had never met each other's children till they got back together to do the Happiness Bastards album and tour and stuff. They got, I shouldn't say it that way. They got back together last year and did an anniversary tour for the Hard to Handle album, their debut album. And at that point, the brothers seemed to, marinate together and get stuff worked out to where they can at least perform and create music together. But word has it that even on this current tour, they are not housing together. They're not traveling together. They are doing everything they can to keep the ship on the water. And part of that is staying away from each other, except on stage, apparently. Still unfortunate. So, but the music that's coming out, it's good stuff, folks. You're going to dig it. So let's check out a little bit of one of the songs off Happiness Bastards. I just kind of pulled one up and decided, hey, let's check that one out. This one's called Bedside Manners. Kind of sounds like the first couple albums. I love it when an old band comes out with new music that sounds new but familiar, and the Black Crowes have always been really good at that. All right, so there's a little bit of that new Black Crowes. That album was released on Friday, and it is in your downloads now. You can go grab it. Next up, we've got Billy Joel, who's 74 years old. He has been around a long time. Everybody knows Billy Joel. He's an American icon, and he's done some amazing music, from Piano Man to Still Rock and Roll to Me, You May Be Right, We Didn't Start the Fire, Uptown Girl. So many great songs, so many huge hits. And then he kind of hit a wall in the late 90s, early 2000s. He quit writing music and releasing original music. He did do some classical composing and things like that, but he was not writing pop music at all. He had shunned it. At one point, he wasn't going to perform ever again. And then he kind of got back into performing again by keeping his Madison Square Garden residency going. Every year he's done like 10 to 15 shows. It started out just 3 or 4 shows, and then it grew and grew and grew and over the years. And there have been years where he's done 20 shows in a row at Madison Square Garden, and every one of them is sold out every run. And if I remember correctly, there's going to be a special on soon on TV and streaming that is his 100th show at Madison Square Garden. 100 sold out shows at Madison Square Garden. Pretty amazing. First original song released in 17 years. It's called Turn the Lights Back On. You never know when an artist comes back after being gone for a while. You don't know for sure what's he gonna get? What are we gonna get from him? Is it gonna be retro? Is it gonna just sound like he always has? Is it gonna be cheesy? Is it gonna suck? Because it can run the gamut. No fear here. This is a little bit of the new single from Billy Joel, Turn the Lights Back On. He is actually going to go out on the road and do a legitimate tour, which he hasn't done in decades probably. He's going to go and he'll be doing stadiums and some big arenas and stuff, but you might get a chance to see him. He's somebody I would really like to see. I have never seen Billy Joel, and I think it would be cool to say that I got to see him at some point. Here is Turn the Lights Back On, the latest single from Billy Joel, as we look at folks over 50 still making rock and roll.
Please open the door. Nothing is different. We've been here before. Pacing these halls, trying to talk over the silence. And pride sticks out his tongue, laughs at the portrait that we become. Stuck in a frame, unable to change. I was wrong.
See? Billy Joel.
I'm late.
And I love the video. The AI they're using.
Used to be romantic. I forgot somehow. Time can make you blind. But I see.
And it has all of the elements you want from a Billy Joel tune. But it's new, it's fresh, it's cool. We're lucky. Those of us that grew up in the 80s and 90s are lucky because we have these artists that are still with us, still making fantastic music. All right, so this next set we've got for you, I'm going to start with the Rolling Stones. Now, the Rolling Stones, there's not a person on the planet that doesn't know the Rolling Stones. Now, Mick Jagger's 80 years old. Keith Richards, 80 years old. Ron Wood, 76 years old. And they have continued to tour extensively. And if you think about their age, I mean extensively. For the last decade, they've still been doing long tours. They may do less of them, but they're still going out there and they're spending 6, 7, 8 months touring. And it hasn't been around new releases. The latest thing that they released in October, Hackney Diamonds, was the first album in like 10 years or something like that. It was quite a while. And first album of original music in longer than that. And some amazing stuff. I've really enjoyed that album as well. It's fun to see Mick Jagger out there still being Mick Jagger at 80 years old. And so let's check this one out. You've probably seen this video. It got quite a bit of attention in October when it first came out for their first single off of the album, Angry. This album has all kinds of guest stars. They were able to kind of get a lot of their flavors throughout this album. And it's not anything you wouldn't expect from the Stones. It's not a surprise. I think the quality and the musicianship and the songwriting and stuff is right on point for the Rolling Stones. And when you think about these guys being near 80 or 80, that's something to be commended, I think. Angry with the Rolling Stones. Good classic Stones vibe. Now this video got some heat because of Sydney Sweeney is the girl, the fine young lady there, and I mean fine in many ways. Don't come at me. But people were saying she's being objectified in this, and she came out and said, "No, I wasn't. I had a good time. I love the Rolling Stones. Shut up." I think the video is amazing because they've taken it again. AI is changing everything for entertainment. I like how these artists are getting on board with it and utilizing it immediately rather than being scared of it and hiding from it till it takes over. If we get in front of it and start utilizing it and help shape how AI is used in entertainment, we won't lose so much of the person that we need in entertainment. We need that human content. We need that human guidance. But AI is an amazing tool. I use it. I've used it to make some of the commercials you see on here. I use it for some of the stuff I do in my marketing for Miller Music Media, my marketing company. So, AI's got its place. A lot of people are scared of it, but I think it's cool. And both, we've seen a couple videos now. Billy Joel, he was using some AI to make himself look younger. And here they're making some AI to make old pictures of the Rolling Stones look like they're doing this song on billboards throughout Los Angeles. Cool stuff, people. Now, another band that released a album last summer that just really floored everybody, and these guys aren't as old, but they're getting there. They're over 50. If they're older than me, then I talked about them. And in this case, there's one guy that's younger, but he's the drummer. He is new to Extreme, but the band we're talking about has been around since the late 80s, early 90s. I think 90 is when the first Extreme major label release was out, but they had been together for many years at that point. They are Gary Cherone, who is 62 years old. He's the lead vocalist. Nuno Bettencourt is 57 years old, and he is probably the top rock guitar player on the scene right now. If you were going to say, who is Eddie Van Halen now that Eddie Van Halen is gone, it would be Nuno Bettencourt. And you can come at me at that if you want, because I don't think you'll find anyone else that is suitable in personality, technique, and songwriting to be compared to Eddie Van Halen. I am not saying Nuno Bettencourt is Eddie Van Halen, and if I did, Nuno Bettencourt would come at me, because he doesn't want to be that. And people have been doing that to him since Eddie died. It's a compliment on one hand, and on the other hand, that's got to be a lot of fucking pressure. Because Eddie Van Halen is like our Bach or Mozart. He will be looked at as one of the purveyors and one of the most important figures ever in rock guitar, period. Him and Jimi Hendrix will be the two that are talked about the most forever. And so that's a lot of pressure to have someone or a whole community of people say, Nuno, you're the new Eddie Van Halen. So I can see why he's like, I don't know if I want to go there, kids. And so Nuno kind of shuns it. He doesn't want that to be part of what he's doing. But the music that they've put out is nothing short of stellar. And I'm going to share a little bit with you now. The song that I've chosen is the first single that came out right away. It came out before the album, actually. And it's probably one of the coolest guitar songs. And I'm going to play a portion of it at least to get to the solo, because the solo is amazing.
You out defecated. Oh, I wonder, trampled under. You're the chosen one. Gonna lift you up, straight to the top. I'm gonna raise you up, then rip you apart. I'm gonna lift you up, watch you rise, watch you fall. Gonna raise you up.
Man. So you can see why Nuno gets called the next Eddie Van Halen. It's amazing stuff. So that is from the newest Extreme album, which is called 6. It came out last June. I got to see them in August in Portland with Living Colour. A fantastic show. So if you have not heard this entire album, please go pick it up. I think you will dig it. And, we want to support these guys. As rockers get older, a lot of people start to shun them. My last episode, I talked about Metallica haters. Well, there's also a bunch of ageist bastards out there that hack on any band that's been around longer than 15 years. And, that's old man stuff. And I know I'm an old man, and this is my get off my lawn episode of Rockipedia. But still, there's a lot of great music out there that people are missing out on because they have exactly that attitude. Now, something I'm going to take this moment while we were talking about Nuno Betancourt. I want to take this moment and tell you about an event. First of all, I want to introduce you to my company, Miller Music and Media. I have a little studio here in my house. This is where I do the podcast. I also can do other things. So I do audio production, voiceover and narration. I do some marketing. I do event management. I'm looking at doing some artist relations, perhaps. Podcast production. If you want to do a podcast, but you don't know how to put all the elements together, contact me. I can help you with that. I also create music beds, and I am a songwriter. So if you're looking for somebody to co-write songs with, or you're looking for a music bed to go under a TV commercial or a radio commercial or your own podcast, I got all that stuff for you. So Miller Music and Media, you can reach us through the Rockipedia podcast at gmail.com. All right. So the event we're doing, Rockipedia with David Miller presents Sunday Guitar's second annual Shred the High Desert contest. Now, I put this together last year, was the first year. Well, it was kind of a smaller, let's see if this works kind of thing. This year, we're making it bigger because last year was successful, which is always fun. So if you are a country or rock and roll player, guitar picker, guitar shredder, you need to sign up. This is rock versus country this year in Shred the High Desert. And we are going to have an in-person contest during the Sunday Guitar's annual guitar swap meet, which is happening May 4th of this year, 2024. And it will be at the Bend Factory Stores, which is an outlet mall kind of on the south end of Bend. We take over one of the retail spaces in that building. And there's a huge swap meet where you can buy all kinds of cool guitar stuff and music-related items, meet a lot of cool musicians. And then we have this contest that we have a section set up. We're going to have 6 rock and roll guitar players and 6 country guitar players. The rock and roll guitar players will compete against each other. The country guitar players will compete against each other. And the top of each of those categories, one country player, one rock player, will compete against each other for the grand prize. So there will be a runner-up in each category. So the second place in each country and rock will get a prize. And then the top players in rock and country will compete for the grand prize. So a lot of fun. The prizes are going to be cool. We'll announce those on April 1st, and you can get all the rules and stuff by emailing rockipediapodcast at gmail.com. You can also sign up by doing that. If you want to sign up, make sure you include your name, age, your phone, and what category you want to play in, rock or country.
Rock and country guitar enthusiasts, get ready to unleash your shredding skills at the most epic guitar competition of the year. Rockipedia with David Miller proudly presents Sunday Guitar's second annual Shred the High Desert Guitar Competition, held in conjunction with Sunday Guitar's annual Guitar Swap Meet, May 4th at the Bend Factory Stores. This year we're turning up the heat of the competition with rock versus country. 6 rock guitarists will go head-to-head and 6 country guitarists will battle it out. The competition is fierce and the stakes are high, and only one guitarist from each category will emerge victorious. But wait, it doesn't end there. After the face-offs, the ultimate genre showdown, rock versus country. The grand prize is up for grabs, and it's going to be a battle of epic proportions. To be a part of this incredible event, all you need to do is email rockipediapodcast at gmail.com to register and get more information. Mark your calendars because prizes will be announced on Monday, April 1st on Rockipedia with David Miller on YouTube. Sunday Guitar's second annual Shred the High Desert, where the strings meet the wood and the showdown of a lifetime awaits. Email rockipediapodcast at gmail.com and let the battle begin.
All right, now we're going to carry on with our Age is Just a Number, Rocking Beyond 50. Our next groups, we've talked about Judas Priest recently and how amazing their new album, Invincible Shield, is. And when you watch the live videos from the tour that they've already started, they kicked it off in Glasgow, Ireland. The performance level that's going on, it's not just the quality of this record, but they're taking it to the stage and presenting it with the same quality. And these guys have been around a long damn time. Rob Halford, vocals, 72 years old. Glenn Tipton, 76 years old now. Glenn Tipton has Parkinson's disease. He's an original guitar player, helped write and does play on the new album. There are solos by Glenn Tipton on the new album. You can hear him if you know Glenn's playing. You'll know. But he is less and less able to perform live. For the last couple tours, he's been able to come out every few shows and do the encore with the band. But he has not been able to do a full show or sometimes at all for several years now. And they're saying that this will probably be the last tour he can possibly be involved in, and he's very limited in what he's doing on this tour. Ian Hill, bass player, 72 years old. Ian Hill has been there since the very beginning. Richie Faulkner is 44 years old. He's the youngster, but he kind of gets grandfathered in, as it were, a pun intended, because 2.5, 3 years ago, Richie Faulkner almost died on stage from a heart attack. He had a massive coronary incident while on stage, finished the frickin' show, then collapsed, and they took him in, and he had to have open heart surgery. The doctor said he was extremely close to death, and within 6 months, he was back with the band recording and playing live. That's pretty amazing. You get grandfathered into this age is just a number thing when you're that dude. And congratulations, Richie, on surviving that. Scott Travis, the drummer, 62 years old. Now, these cats are up there, and that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that these guys are aging. The age of these guys doesn't seem to be a factor. And we all know the bands that it is a factor for. Motley Crue. I look at you, Vince Neil. There are some that should have cashed it in a while ago. I saw a video the other day of Robbie Krieger from The Doors. And he had a horrible performance at a hockey game where he was supposed to do the national anthem. My goodness, it was rough. It was really rough. And that makes you sad. I mean, I'm not trying to hack on Robbie Krieger. Robbie Krieger's like 90. So maybe he should have stopped doing stuff a little while ago. That's the secret to being an aging rocker, I think, is knowing when it's time to go. And people have been telling the Rolling Stones to stop playing since 1987. So you can't trust the public. You can't trust the public. But, when we've got some of the great stuff like Judas Priest is giving us, if you're a Judas Priest fan and a rock fan, there's no way to not be floored by this. Now, everybody's played a bunch of the singles and stuff. I'm going to give you a little taste of something different. This is a song off of the new Invincible Shield album from Judas Priest. Remember, these guys are all in their 60s and 70s, except for Richie Faulkner. And this is what they're doing. That guy singing is 72 years old. What? What? Holy cow. It's just incredible that Rob Halford can do that. And he's pulling it off live to a great degree. Now, I will admit that he recently pulled two very difficult to sing Judas Priest songs out of the set list. For their first 4 shows or 3 shows on this tour, they had done Beyond the Realms of Death and Victim of Changes, both vocal ridiculousness. Any singer who's ever tried to attempt those would tell you this. But he was pulling them off. But I think he got the idea that doing that night after night might not be possible. So they swapped him out with some songs that were a little easier to sing, but still creative. That's the great thing about Priest. When they swap out songs, they don't go, oh, well, let's just bring in Living After Midnight again. They're probably playing that. But they bring in backtracks. They bring in stuff they haven't played in ages and some cool stuff. So if you get a chance to see Judas Priest, do it. I've seen them several times. I saw them on their last tour. Amazing still. I am looking forward to going to this tour if I can possibly do it. I've got a friend that's never been to a Judas Priest show, and I want to make sure he gets to go. All right, so something else I found recently that's very cool from an aging rocker. He's not that old. He's actually younger than me. Ha, 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 ha. I don't know why I'm laughing. He's younger than me. Oh, anyway, Sebastian Bach, former lead singer of Skid Row, been around forever. He's a card, he's a character, he's kind of an asshole, but he's fun. He was one of the first rock star interviews I did, and I made a complete ass out of myself. So let's tell that story, why don't we? I'm hosting a morning show. I've started making connections in the industry and trying to do some cool stuff, and I thought, hey, I need to interview rock stars. So I set up like 3 interviews all at one time. It was Tracy Guns, Sebastian Bach, and I can't remember the third person. And I ended up doing the Tracy Guns and the Sebastian Bach. The third one got canceled, and I think that's why I don't remember it. But Sebastian was the first one. And so we got it all set up. We were doing it on the phone. It was me and my morning show partner, Woodman. And I was telling, I had all these great questions. I'd done many interviews before. I used to be like a rock journalist or a wannabe rock journalist in Portland. And I did CD reviews, concert reviews, wrote a couple articles, that kind of thing. So I had some experience with interviewing people. And the first ever band I ever interviewed, first what I would call a celebrity band or a well-known band, was Sick of It All, the hardcore band out of New York. I interviewed them on the phone, my old school phone, landline phone. I interviewed them on that, on a speakerphone from Oregon City, Oregon, in my apartment. And that was the first celebrity interview I ever did. So I get this radio gig. I set up this interview with Sebastian Bach. Now, I had a band called Kid Wicked. I've talked about them on the show before. I've even shown you video of them. That name was not original to me. It was very unoriginal to me. It was actually a band that Sebastian Bach had in Canada before he was in Skid Row. He had a band for a period of time called Kid Wicked. At some point years ago, I read that in an article. And when it came time to name my band in 1991, I wanted to use that name. And I don't remember at the time thinking, I'm going to use that Sebastian Bach band name. I remember thinking that name Kid Wicked was really cool. I want to use it. I don't think I thought about where it came from at that point. But then later on, I realized it. The longer you go, I read it in more articles, and I was like, wow, I took that from Sebastian Bach. So me thinking that would be flattering in some fashion, I guess, I mentioned it to him in the interview. Hey, Sebastian, here's a funny story. He didn't think it was funny at all. I think he thought I was a dumbass for not being creative enough to come up with my own band name. But he wasn't mean. He wasn't, he did not have the reaction I guess I hoped he would. He's got a new album coming out May 10th, Child Within the Man. And his new singles, What I Got to Lose, he put out a couple months ago, maybe early February, late January. And then he just put out a really cool, fun new video, Everybody Bleeds. I think this video is fantastic. I think it's really fun. I think you're going to dig it too. Anybody that remembers the old Memorex ads, and especially like they were in all the rock magazines and stuff, the Memorex ad, you'll know it. If you know it, you'll know it when the video starts. It's pretty great. This is the latest from Sebastian Bach. It's called Everybody Bleeds. His new album comes out May 10th. Check it out.
Hurricane Irene was devastating for Sebastian Bach, a Stern Show guest and former frontman for Skid Row. Sebastian's New Jersey home was destroyed.
That's real, by the way. His house was destroyed. I like it. It's cool stuff. So Sebastian Bach coming back with some cool stuff there. So, we're talking about some older dudes, and I don't want you to feel like I'm saying that 50 and 60 years is too old or is an old man or blah, blah, blah. I am boosting these folks up. I'm 56. I'm a musician. I still play regularly, and it's funny. I tell my wife that somewhere around the time I turned 50, and this is why I used 50 as the marker for most of these, I still feel the same going to a gig, setting up for it, playing it. My energy level is the same. Everything operates like it should. I feel great. The minute I get off stage and get everything packed up and sit down in my car to head home, I feel every bit of my 56 years. And I guess it's an adrenaline thing. I guess it's a thing of, feeling like, wow, I'm going. I've got this thing to look forward to. I got to have the energy to do it. So I've built it up, and you're full steam ahead because you have this thing to conquer. Once you've conquered that thing now, you're not necessarily going, what's next? I'm going, I need a break, and then I'll do this again. So I know there's a point where we all feel different about doing the activities that we've done our entire lives. And I think it's right around 50 years old for a lot of us. So that's where I use this marker of 50 and moving forward from that. So I hope you enjoyed this. And this is by no means the extent of this list. There are so many people in this age group still releasing regularly fantastic music. Metallica, those guys are in their late 50s, getting close to 60. They're 72 Seasons, great album. Mick Mars from Motley Crue, the only musician out of Motley Crue. And I know I hack on Motley Crue all the time. I do. And you know why? Because it's fun and it's true. But Mick Mars just released a fantastic album. There's Joe Bonamassa and Glenn Hughes. They have reformed with Black Country Communion and releasing a new album. Glenn Hughes is like 70, 71. So there's so much great music going on out there, and more of it all the time from folks that are in that age group. Bruce Springsteen's still releasing stuff regularly and kicking ass. So don't count out your rock and rollers. Support them. All right, so I want to remind you one more time about Rockipedia Presents Sunday Guitar's second annual Shred the High Desert, Rock versus Country. You can sign up if you're a guitar player by emailing rockipediapodcast@gmail.com. You can also use that email to get more information. We will have all of the rules and guidelines and everything posted around April 1st. At the same time, we will be announcing the prize packages, and they're going to be cool stuff. Sunday Guitars is helping us gather some really cool prizes, and we've got some other friends out there helping as well. So you sign up, and then on May 4th, you have to be in Bend, Oregon, in person. You can come from anywhere, but you got to be here in person on May 4th during the Sunday Guitars annual guitar swap meet. Now, this happens on the afternoon, and we have a space at the Bend Factory Stores, which is on South Highway 97 right here in Bend, Oregon. And we set up, and we've got a stage, and we've got amps and guitars, and everybody gets to come in and do their thing. Each of the rock guitar players will play to the same backing track. Each of the country players will play to the same backing track. And then we are still determining exactly how we're going to do the backing tracks for the final. It may be that they play to the same backing track again, or they each get a new backing track. I have not decided yet. That's kind of what I get to do. This is brought to you by Miller Music and Media. Please share it with any guitar player you know. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we hope you take part in it. All right, that's it for this episode of Rockipedia with David Miller. Age is just a number. Don't forget it, all right? And please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you soon. Rockipedia with David Miller is a Miller Music and Media production.